Okay, here we go again, the big one. It's time to look over a year's worth of resin printer releases so you can decide quickly which one to pick. And it's been a crazy year. You see, last year was easy. Most resin printers were incredibly similar, and so we could assess each one for the most part in terms of price versus print quality. Now, many of the available printers are wildly different from each other, with some offering features above and beyond their competitors. So making a choice now is much less about this is easily better than that. Choosing one really comes down to what you want versus the price they charge at the time you're watching. But don't worry, I intend to make this very easy to digest, and by the end I'm confident you'll have a solid idea of which one is for you, or at least a top 2 or 3 so you can compare down further. Let's get on with it. Hi, I'm Ross and this is Fohammer Videos. And this video is sponsored by Loot Studios. Yeah, I know I talk about their models in almost every video, but this time they paid me to do it. So there will be an ad in here somewhere, see if you can spot it. Right, there is a lot to get through and I don't want to waste your time. I had some comments last year from people who clearly skipped the intro where I told them to start with their budget in mind. So please, try coming in with an idea on how much you actually want to commit before you move forward. I think the key here is looking for a printer that does what you want at a price you want to pay. But these prices change more often than my kids change their interests. I've added affiliate links below the video which you can use for quick access to each machine to check the current pricing, but clicking these before making a purchase also nets me a commission at no cost to you, and is how I fund this channel. So if this has helped you, I only ask that you would be kind enough to support me in return. I'll add some recommendations as we go through, but once you have a printer in mind, or a couple, please check out my video reviews also linked in the description, and many of my head-to-head comparison videos just to cement your choice. But whatever you pick, please let me know in the comments what you went for and why you feel that's right for you. I love to see the variety of use cases for these machines, and if you do need any further help, just drop a question below and I will do my best to get back to everyone with more detailed personal advice. Right then, small printers. I'm talking about printers with a roughly 7-inch build area, give or take an inch or two. Yes, haha. I still feel that most people look at small printers because they assume they're better for beginners, but that mostly comes from the common assumption that smaller printers are cheaper. But this is not always the case, and some better printers could be within your budget. So whilst you may think this is the category for you, please pay attention to medium printers too. Unless you're after a smaller printer because of space limitations or you only ever intend to print small individual things, I'd expect most people would benefit significantly from a larger print area, even if that's at the cost of some quality. Because another reason people jump to smaller printers is because of the advertised small pixel size, which in the past has typically meant improved print quality. But as you'll soon see amongst our first picks, more pixel-dense screens that have weaker light sources result in poorer quality prints. I'll show this as we go through. Finally, if you don't know what printer size is right for you, just download any of the slicers like Chitubox or Lychee, add the printer you're interested in, or if it's not there, create one with custom dimensions. Then just add some models to see if they fit. That's a quick free tip for everyone. Okay, printers. Unfortunately, many of last year's great and cheap picks are becoming end of life. You may be tempted with a discount deal on an old machine as brands sell off the last of their stock. This isn't a bad idea because you can save big, but just be aware that once a brand stops selling printers, spare parts can disappear fast. Many people still aren't aware that LCD screens in printers are classed as consumable parts and only operate for about 2,000 printing hours. For an idea of what I mean, if you plan to print a lot and have your printer last a while, make sure before you buy any machine, screens are still available, and maybe pick up 1 or 2 to protect yourself in the long run. And finally, for an idea of what I mean about great older printers, check out last year's Best Resin Printers video. Starting this off properly, we have the Anycubic Photon Mono 4. This is a printer I would say is okay. It's a very basic printer in terms of features. Please don't get excited by the advertised 10K resolution or 17 micron pixel size, because this is one of the printers that proves that the light source matters more than the screen. Like all Anycubic printers, this supports the multi-exposure feature called RERF, which allows you to quickly dial in your exposure time, and I've got a separate video explaining how that works. The prints on this are on the softer side, and I would say are comparable to something like a small 4K printer from a couple of years ago, like the Mono 2. But prints can at least be smoothed out on this, which is a point that will be more relevant when we look at this machine's direct competitor. I just would have personally preferred they kept the Mono 2 on sale and the price lower, since there's no obvious quality benefit here. And they make its build quality so obviously cheap with things like plastic slidey feet, but if you can grab it at a discount and are happy with some small detail loss, but you need to be able to smooth out your print's edges to remove voxel and layer lines, this would be a trusty little workhorse. The direct competitor to the Mono 4 is the Mars 5, and whilst this is only a 4K machine, which helps keep the cost down, this is a much sharper printer with some advanced tech features. But for some people, that sharpness is also its downfall. The build plate is advertised as auto leveling when it isn't, see the review for more info, but yeah, the build plate on all of the modern Mars and Saturn printers can be an absolute pain in the ass. From resin being lodged in the gap between the two tiers, and the bed leveling itself being hardly adjustable when it sometimes needs to be, and no grip on the handle, these in general are annoying. I and many others are happy to work around this for the price, but let's hope we never see this design again. The bigger issue affecting this unit and the normal Saturn 4, not the Ultras, is that there is a problem with anti-aliasing. This has historically been a really useful feature for many people, as it can smooth out the layer and voxel lines on prints, making them production quality smooth. Enabling that feature on these printers can lead to all kinds of mess. If Elegoo or GKTWO Systems, whoever's fault it is, could fix this, it would easily be the best starter machine, but they never addressed the same issue which was present back in the Mars 4 printers from well over a year ago. But if you don't need super smooth prints or plan to sand these marks down anyway, this is an absolute bargain little machine. Between the Mono 4 and Mars 5, you basically have the choice of soft and smooth or sharp prints only, and it's going to come down to the limits you can personally accept for the price. More than one of these is an obvious standout printer. As we move up in current prices, we get to the Mono 4 Ultra, and this isn't just a Mono 4 again with more features, it's a complete and total overhaul. A much better light source behind the same 10K screen proves that this change alone nets sharper prints from a printer. But unlike the normal Mono 4, this unit also comes with frosty ACF release film, something which I've shown time and time again reduces print quality. Swap this out for crystal clear PFA, change no settings, and you have sharper prints without scratchy marks on the vertical walls. Anycubic are pushing the speed metrics of their printers, but this speed is only really achievable with ACF film and fast resins. Swap either of these out and you'll need to slow the printer down a bit for success. Some people will want fast machines, but I've seen from thousands of comments now that the vast majority are after quality over speed. And whilst Anycubic are pushing this, they are completely failing to champion just how advanced their pressure sensing features are, because things in this like dynamic lift height is a true amazing method of increasing print speed, which is explained by them nowhere. Anycubic have really stepped up their game with this generation, with sensible, tried and tested adjustable build plate designs, the handy RERF feature and super smart pressure sensing features. Along with Wi-Fi connectivity and a phone app for monitoring, this is a great little device. But as I said, I would personally just swap to PFA for the detail, but it's your call. This is a solid step back to the more professional company that released the incredible M3 Premium. Now we have the Mars 5 Ultra, and this is the first of a different beast. This can print both fast and sharp out of the box thanks to its 9K display, PFA release film, and tilting VAT. The main downside is once again the annoying build plate, which is the same as the one I just talked about on the normal Mars 5. So if you skip that part, go back and watch that bit or the full review. With similar but not quite the same smart features like pressure sensing for resin level pre-print, but now also including Wi-Fi and a somewhat handy camera, you can monitor prints from your computer or make dark time lapses. It is certainly the most feature-rich smaller printer offering. The best feature is the tilting vat. It's a great way to increase print speeds and reduce pull forces. There's also fewer settings in the slicer for users to deal with, as all of the lift and retract speed settings are gone in lieu of the onboard slow or fast printing mode. But on the flip side, this mechanism can lead to inconsistent height across the build plate on base layers. Now, I always print supported models, so for me, this really isn't a problem. You need to consider what you're printing, and if you're wanting this and are unsure whether you need to print directly from the plate, chances are you probably don't. That's typically more for engineering prototypes. Elegoo also now have an RERF rivaling multi-exposure test built right into the UI on their Ultra machines, and this is super handy for dialing in resin exposure times very quickly. This is certainly more functional than the Anycubic RERF test, but it still has its quirks. I've got a separate video explaining how to get this one working too. Prints on the Mars 5 Ultra are easily as sharp as they would be on the Mono 4 Ultra when you swap that printer's ACF for PFA, but none of the prints from any of these small machines are as sharp as some of the 12 to 14K 10-inch printers we're going to come on to. When it comes to print detail, I personally prefer a sharper printer where I can then digitally soften the layer lines with anti-aliasing, which you can do on this model. I do wish Elegoo had a phone monitoring app now that the printers have Wi-Fi and cameras, but even without that, it is mostly a no-nonsense machine that delivers solid quality with out-of-the-box no faffing or release film swapping to do. When it comes to deciding between these printers, it's kinda hard. Now, I'm not trying to be out there saying everything's great because that's helpful to no one. If anything, I'm saying the opposite. The printers do what you expect them to do, but every printer has a bit of a problem. So again, there's no definite winner here. I personally like the speed and sharpness of the Mars 5 out of the box, and the benefits of the tilting vat outweigh the cons of that and the build plate. To get the same sharpness on the Anycubic, yes, I'd need to switch it to PFA, which slows it down, but with that I'd have the much better pressure sensing features and dynamic lift height, and also wouldn't need to deal with the annoying Elegoo build plate. And Anycubic's advancement in pressure sensitivity really is an undersung benefit. That, coupled with the remote notifications, is a handy little extra. So I hope you can see, guys, I'm not trying to be uselessly objective. Both of these printers in their raw function of printing are capable of the same quality. And this is what I meant in the intro about it's more about the features you want, but I guess it's also about the annoyances that you're willing to put up with. And that's going to be quite a common theme going forward. If you're sure it's a small printer you want for your use case and you need the sharpest details out there, the Phrozen Sonic Mini 8KS is still the best I've seen, but it's by a hair's breadth only. However, this is a back-to-basics printer with no flashy modern tech features at all, like pressure sensing or Wi-Fi, and it's got a slightly smaller and more awkwardly shaped build area than most in this category. But Phrozen are known for making more reliable products with long-term support, and so this one is still definitely worth some consideration if you're looking for a more tried and tested unit. Again though, the print quality is not too dissimilar to larger 10-inch printers, some of which are now comparably priced, if not cheaper. But if raw print quality and longevity in a small format is what you're after, this is still the one that very slightly has the edge. Now then, medium-sized printers, and by this we're looking around 10 inches in size. I would have liked to talk about the 9-inch printers separately, but both the Mars 4 Max and the Anycubic Mono M7 are end of life, which is a shame because these were easily the best beginner printers of last year. They both had that perfect balance of good enough quality, decent size, and a competitive price point. Now there's only one 9-inch printer I know of worth considering. I'll come on to that later, but it ticks none of those boxes. If you've watched my videos, you see me talk about Loot Studios a lot, and it's genuinely because I love their models, but don't just take my word for it, try it for yourselves. Each month with Loot's sci-fi or fantasy subscription, you'll get a series of incredibly well sculpted miniatures in both 32 and 75mm scales, along with busts, scenery pieces, and even some large scale models and props too. Geared more towards tabletop RPG players, you also get stat blocks, encounter guides, character lore, and more. I don't even play RPGs, I just print them because they're incredibly fun models to paint. I signed up over 2 years ago and I'm still paying for my subscription now, and my only regret at the time for this much value is that I hadn't signed up sooner. So why not get your first taste of this right now with Loot's free mini bundle linked in the description, which also includes a free Learn to Play RPG to help beginners jump in, and for those who need help with 3D printing, you can also sign up for their 3D printing hero campaign, which is Loot's bootcamp designed to teach you how to print miniatures. And if you decide to sign up for the full subscription, not only will you get that month's bundle, you'll also get access to the first half of their huge welcome pack too. So unless you're against the idea of some incredibly well sculpted awesome models for free, what are you waiting for? Go and sign up now, link in the description. Let's get back to some printers. Now, I think 10-inch printers are the sweet spot for most printer users, unless you're printing only smaller things like jewelry or one-off small components. Small printers can become very restrictive very fast. If you're printing something like miniatures, models, statues and busts like I am, or things of equivalent size, and I assume most resin printers out there are, many STL creators are cutting up and supporting their multi-part models with this size of printer more commonly in mind. And when you look at anything much larger than this, the build plates, parts and cleaning can become unwieldy very quick, but we'll get onto that in the next section. For now, let's look at some of the 10-inch printers I've not had the most amazing time with. The Creality Halot Mage Pro and Halot Mage S are fine working machines, but comparably just very limited. Please, I'm not going to go into it, just see my reviews for more info. If you've got one and it works, that's fine, and if it works for you, great. I'm not saying they're terrible or the worst thing in the world, but they are a far cry from all of the others I've tested in terms of usability and functionality. And the next one is the Nova 3D Whale Ultra 14K, which is still a mouthful. This is littered with numerous little annoyances that weaken the offering significantly. It's fine, it works, but like with the Creality printers, there are just better printers out there, and typically for less money. Such as the Anycubic M7. I honestly prefer this to the M7 Pro. Despite some marketing claims that this is slower than the M7 Pro, everything I look at in this machine makes it appear as though it's the exact same printer, minus 2 add-on features and the hardware interface for one of them. Once again though, this is a printer that uses ACF release film, so if you want to get improved print quality, you can swap to PFA, making this one of the sharpest printers out there right now. But in doing that, you do lose some of the speed. By the way, if you want to do this and you want the right size of this film, just buy the Mono M5 FET film from the Anycubic website. Just like the Mono 4 Ultra, this also has some incredible pressure sensing that I'm going to repeat has been completely undersold by Anycubic. Resin level detection, print failure detection, dynamic lift height, all monitorable on the printer and the phone app makes this an incredibly reliable machine that you can keep an eye on from a distance. And once again, the RERF feature is available here too. As I've said before, I think if Anycubic got over the "this is fast" angle of their marketing and spent more time focusing on the quality and reliability of these machines, they'd actually sell a lot more of them. Yes, ACF and speed is a valid option for many people, but without a PFA variant as an option at checkout, this is turning people away. Why would you actually want to buy a product only to immediately have to replace a release film? You just buy a different product. What I have seen many people do though is the same as what they did on the M5 series. Buy a second VAT with the printer so that they can have one with PFA installed for quality and the ACF one that comes with it for speed. But again, because Anycubic don't sell a VAT with PFA for this printer, you will just need to buy a VAT that comes with ACF and then order the FEP sheet for the M5 printer, not the M5S. The sheet for the M5 is PFA, the sheet for the M5S and the M5S Pro is ACF. So yeah, if you want the features of this printer and the print quality of PFA release film, you pretty much need to waste a brand new ACF whichever way you look at it. Or I guess you could wait till the ACF is on its last legs and then switch to PFA when you need to replace it. The printer that would most likely be directly compared to the Anycubic M7 is the Saturn 4, and the Saturn 4 is a very basic machine. When it comes to things like pressure sensing, this just isn't as smart. But honestly, at its competitively low price point, this will probably be the more popular choice of entry-level unit in terms of cost against features. But please be aware that just like the non-Ultra Mars 5, this has the same anti-aliasing issues, and here, because the print volume is bigger, anti-alias.goo files can become so large that they're too big for the FAT32 file format required for these USB drives. Now of course, some people won't care, especially if printing larger things, or you don't mind a little sanding, but for those wanting the smoothest small prints direct out of the printer, this lack of a feature, or at least feature with the risk of bugs that's been common on printers for as long as I can remember, is crippling. I mean, sure, maybe Elegoo see this as a potential upsell for the Saturn V Ultra, but until they sort it, it's also a solid reason for people to just buy from another brand where you can use this feature. A feature that I need to stress again has been present on very, very basic printers for at least the last 3 years. When you add on this annoying not self-leveling build plate, this budgetly attractive machine can quickly become a turn-off. However, if you can accept these limits and challenges, this is still a very sharp printer. Just makes me miss the Saturn III series. There's no wow here, but like McDonald's, for this price, it gets the job done. The Mono M7 Pro is an odd machine, and I like it just as much as I think it's a bit silly. What you have here is the normal M7 again, but with a heater pump and a resin pump. This has all the awesome smart features of the M7 and the same print quality too. If you skip to this printer, go back and watch the M7 to get a summary of its functions and limits. The resin heater pump does work, so for those of you needing a heated system, this is probably still better than a chamber heater. So in this price range, it may be your only valid choice. But the reason I personally don't like resin pumps in general, and especially for getting resin in and out of a bottle, is, well, for one, they're so slow that it's easiest to just pour it in and pour it out, but the tubes become so messy, and resin printing is messy enough. So when this heater is also a pump, you need to properly clean out the whole system when changing materials in order to avoid cross-contamination. And it also makes the vat very back-heavy and just awkward to maneuver. Now if you can put up with this, fine, wade in. It is an awesome printer with a heater system, but I doubt we'll ever see this type of system again. Why can't brands just give us heated resin vats as an optional add-on? That isn't rhetorical, it's a serious question. If you know the answer, please put it in the comments. I do want to be able to recommend this printer stronger, but I see it like this: where the Saturn IV's flaws will frequently upsell the Saturn IV Ultra, I see the M7 Pro's additions would more commonly downsell the M7. The printer I think will easily sell the most this year is the Saturn IV Ultra. With its size and all of the tech features like Wi-Fi, the camera, and mild implementation of pressure detection, coupled with the super fast tilting vat and crystal clear PFA release film, this machine gives you detailed fast printing out of the box with no faffing about. Now the drawbacks, however, are the same as the Mars 5 Ultra, with the pain in the ass build plate, which drips, is hard to hold, and does not auto level like they say, nor is it very adjustable. The tilting vat also has a gap around it, which is a spill risk to the internals, though they do give you a bib to compensate. And this is generally less dimensionally accurate in Z height on the base layers of prints. But as I said earlier, though I expect many people skip to here, this isn't really a problem for most people. It's not a problem for me because parts are elevated on support struts. This is only really a problem if you intend to print direct from the plate. And whilst the webcam exists, you can only monitor it from a computer, and without a light installed, the time lapses are generally pretty poor. But it's not terrible, again, still gets the job done, it prints really fast, it prints really sharp. And this printer also has Elegoo's excellent multi-exposure test function, and overall, just like the Mars 5 but with a typically more convenient build volume, this has the widest range of commonly wanted features of any current printer, at a decent price. I honestly think they could have sold this for $100 more and it would have still been good value. Between these 4 machines, and I hope you don't see it as a lot of whinging, there's a lot of positive in there and a lot of negative. It's just a quick summary. But once again, it's about looking for what you can live with more than any single, oh my god, wow. That's the thing this year. Now that print quality is all but balanced, every brand has added features, but each printer comes with much more of an obvious but. So again, in quick resummary, the Saturn 4 is sharp, but it's only sharp because of the anti-aliasing bug. You can struggle to smooth your prints directly out of the printer. I think the M7 is ace, a great balance of features in a tried and tested format for leveling and accuracy from the plate. The pressure sensing is really great, along with the remote monitoring phone app. It puts this into the very reliable printing category. But if you want its best print quality, you need to swap the ACF for PFA and or get a second VAT to do that. The Pro version is the same again with a heater and resin pump, but this is a messy system. Do you want to deal with that? That's how you decide on that one. The Saturn 4 has its annoyances in the build plate design and lack of camera light and Wi-Fi phone app, but with such a variety of features and no faffing to get speed and quality out of the box, it's going to be an easy pick for many people. Now we also need to fairly consider the Phrozen Mighty Revo. Now this has print quality on par with the others thanks to the PFA film out the box and a good light source. At its core, this also has a tried and tested mechanism for leveling with some pressure sensing functionality to boot. Some. And this one has a webcam with a light to make time lapses, a built-in chamber heater and a dedicated phone app for monitoring. The but here is twofold. One is how everything is implemented together just feels a little thrown in from Phrozen, a brand that normally oozes quality products. A chamber heater on a printer with a gap around the lid? I mean, come on guys, at least make some draft excluders and send them to everyone who bought this machine. And the fixes have been far too slow, with only 2 firmware updates in the last 6 months. One thing that Phrozen should be strongly thanked for though is that the screen swaps are generally easy to do. Considering screens are classed as consumable parts on all MSLA printers, this is a massive value add for those looking to invest in a long-term production unit. For anyone who wants an idea of just how hard a screen replacement can be, check out the guide for the Saturn 4 Ultra. This is a literal teardown to replace the most commonly failing component. The other but with the Phrozen machine is the price. Now, Phrozen are typically still known to be more reliable, well-built machines, and if you're after solid performance, quality, and accuracy over speed or any other gimmick, this will do that. And I don't hate it as many people presume I do. As I wanted to convey in my review, I'm more just disappointed because we've seen far better from this brand. It is still a very good printer. Then we've got the big boy, the GK2. Oh, hi guys, sorry, it's Ross here from the future. When I recorded this video, which has taken quite a few weeks to put together visually, I planned to talk about the ever-loved GK2 printer and where that sat in the lineup. But since the recording date, and now just 3 days before my planned scheduled release date that I've got no intention of moving, Uniformation have sent me not one, but 2 new printers directly to replace the GK2. Now, I could have waited and released this video later, but knowing my luck, by the time I did that, there'd be more printers available. So this is where we are, and I've got to draw a line somewhere. If you're interested in what this top dog brand are offering, I highly recommend watching the review video for both of these new machines, which will be live on or after November 24th, 2024. Remember to click subscribe and the notification bell so you don't miss it, or its special launch price. And if you are watching this video live or during the week it comes out, Uniformation are slashing the price of the GK2 for the last time ever, and that's to sell off the remaining stock. And I should also have an exclusive code to go along with that. It's not confirmed yet, but if I do, it will be in this video's description. All I can say at this point is that once again, certainly worth considering. Please check out those videos. Now I need to talk about two printers that I honestly almost don't want to bring up because of the hateful comments that these printers frequently generate. The Heygears Reflex and the newer Reflex RS are easily the best 9-inch and 10-inch printers on the market, and I mean that in terms of raw features, sensing technology, and build quality. I do not mean, nor am I saying, they are the objective best and therefore everyone should buy them. The price of these machines alone is enough to put most people off. The but with these, and it is a big but, is that they promote to the point of all but requiring their own proprietary resin. But as Greedy 3D and numerous users in the Heygears Idea Shapers Facebook group have shown, you can use third-party materials to great success. The thing with these is that they are more prosumer than consumer, and these are made for people who want to print like master quality prints with all but perfect dimensional accuracy. The build quality on these makes their competitors look like toys, even Phrozen, who are probably the next closest. And all of the sensors in these not only provide dynamic lift height, but speed too, and more. There's so much built into these machines themselves to ensure print success, and then you couple that with how perfectly dialed in their resins are to ensure a print accuracy within 15 microns, a degree which almost none of us would care about, and also a metric which none of the other brands even dare to quote. These have screens with UV uniformity within a 3% tolerance across the surface, and then you've got the in-app support too, where you can actually ask them questions in the app and they'll get back to you. So again, if you are just fundamentally against the approach this brand have taken to the market, that's perfectly valid. I fully respect and support your decision. And if you're looking for the ultimate quality printer with the least amount of learning to do and are happy with the price and semi-restrictive ecosystem in favor of just general ease, right now, these are the only ones that do that. So if you choose to buy them, I fully respect and support that decision too. Here we are then, large printers. This is where we enter the realm of printers around 13 inches. And there's no easy way of saying this, these are generally big, heavy behemoths. You really should only consider any of these if you specifically want to resin print large things or a lot of small things in one go on the larger build area. And you also need to consider that when printing large things, you also need big washing and big curing stations to work with them. We also need to understand that as we jump into these larger printers, print quality starts to drop. Larger screens means larger pixels. Typically, you'll see larger artifacts, and by that I mean voxel and layer lines, unless of course you heavily implement anti-aliasing to soften and smooth the surfaces of prints. Now here, I'm only talking about 3 specific available large printers in this video, but we have had the Apex Maker X1, a great machine let down by a company responsible for the worst communication I've seen since the scam that was UltraPrint. I tried to warn people. The Elegoo Jupiter SE is the most basic and bog standard of large format resin printers, and in many ways it's typical Elegoo, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. If you want large printing in its cheapest and most basic form, Elegoo does what they do here and gives you a no-nonsense but no real bells or whistles product. It has a resin pump included, and despite my distaste for these in general, I do actually see the use when trying to empty a large vat. Of the 3, it's the lowest print quality, but you can smooth out prints with heavy anti-aliasing and image blur. It does the job. The next one to talk about is the Phrozen Mega 8KS. This is slightly better print quality than the Jupiter, but you'll still need some anti-aliasing if you want it smooth. This also comes with Phrozen's signature build quality. Outside of this and its size, it is another very basic machine with no advanced features such as Wi-Fi. Even the resin pump is an optional extra. It is a good and robust product and a sensible choice for large prints, but the asking price may be rightfully too steep for some. So now on to GK3 Ultra. Now let me be straight, for all intents and purposes this is, for better and worse, just a bigger GK2. So, like the older machine, print quality is on par, which means it's a smidge softer than 10-inch 12 to 14K printers thanks to its matrix LED array. I'm betting an improved light source would have made this better still. However, in this size of machine, it still easily beats the Jupiter and Mega 8K. And then it has all the great usability enhancement features of the GK2 and some more. It's got an excellent heater, a clippable vat, a sensible build plate, Wi-Fi, and a more sealed chassis to keep heat in, and more than that. One of my favourite features, and it's so simple, is thanks to the larger vat, Uniformation are the only ones to realise that you can mount the plate vertically as a drip tray for the whole height of the print, rather than other brands who hang the plate at an angle, letting parts of large prints rest on the screen as you're trying to get resin off the print. It just shows that once again, these guys are looking at the user and making improvements for them, rather than just trying to beat the competition with bigger numbers. But again, like I said in the beginning of this section, the size may be overkill if you don't need to print things this large. It's amazing, I love it, but personally, because of the things I print, I would have a lot more value in a couple of GK2 printers over a single GK3 Ultra. So as I said at the start of this section, these printers are big and the prints are big. Resin printing is a messy endeavour and it's harder with larger, heavier things. Once again, I hope it doesn't seem too obvious that this entry was thrown into the video last minute, but I've only just got my review written up as this video was already pretty much planned and recorded. If you like the idea of some more modern or smart tech in your printers, even if it's taken far too long to get these features in resin printers, then we've got the Anycubic M7 Max. And it was around the time of getting this that I actually really started warming to Anycubic again. I wasn't a fan of the M5 series, as I've said repeatedly, and the launch of the M7 Pro left a sour taste in my mouth because I can't stand cleaning out lines full of resin, and the heating element on that printer is mostly lines. But aside that, we have a slew of solid modern features which have carried over to this monster. Whilst the resolution here is only 46 microns, this is better than the Jupiter and close enough to be on par with the Mega 8KS. But what elevates this further is the inclusion of the sharper COB or COB light source. Then we've got Anycubic's current signature features of pressure sensing to encourage printing success, which means not only remote printing, but phone app and cloud monitoring. But what really impresses me is the inclusion of a heated vat, something I wish was at least an option in all modern printers. Altogether, these features make this Anycubic's best machine yet, and the only letdown is the resolution does mean that layer and voxel lines will be visible to the point where even anti-aliasing and image blur can only do so much. I wouldn't necessarily choose it for small detailed models, though it's still an incredible and feature-rich printer for those of you wanting larger things. More than anything, I genuinely hope this is a sign of what we can expect from every Anycubic machine in the next generation and going forward. This is awesome work. Oh, deep breath. So that's it. That's a summary of everything I've seen in the last year, which is still available now. But things are still coming out. Some things I haven't been able to mention yet. So if you watch this video months after release, just have a quick check amongst my videos since this one came out to see what else you maybe should consider. If you have already narrowed down a choice or two, go and check out my full review videos, because there may be something extra that puts you off or even turns you on to competing products. I've done a lot of comparison videos too, which should really help you nail it down. But if you are confused, just drop a message down in the comments. Let me know what your budget is, what you're looking for, what your primary goals are, and I'll give you a direct recommendation. If this video has been useful, or if I've given you a direct recommendation you've gone on to use, please consider using my affiliate links before making a purchase. I actually refuse payment from brands for review videos, and the way I earn is from your support by clicking that link or becoming a member, so thank you for that in advance. I want to give a huge thanks to everyone. This is genuinely a labour of love for me, a time sink and a bit of a logistical nightmare to review all of these products. So as much as I love you clicking those affiliate links because that is the bread and butter at the end of the day, it is genuinely your comments, your thanks and your encouragement that keeps me going. I also need to thank our members who are on screen now. Please consider joining to support me as they do. Get your name in lights along with early access, exclusive videos and Discord roles. With that done, I'm going on holiday so that my kids can remember they have a dad rather than just a guy sat in the garage surrounded by printers. Until next time, the cake is a lie. Bowhammer out.